Well, everyone, thank you for joining me when you decide to show up. That's great. Let's see if I can actually go live here. Yeah, there we go. That looks pretty good. No, it's not made for kids. Nothing is made for kids. Good Lord. YouTube, I tell you. Anyways, we're going to have a nice live stream here. We've got a couple guests maybe that show up. It just depends on who is around and who's available. And we'll see who shows up. And if someone shows up, maybe we'll invite them. Maybe we won't. Depends how talkative they are, right? Because sometimes I'll just say when I have my little guest show every weekend, I don't get to say too much because I can't get 2 words in. But Tony and Ruff are great, so I put up with them. They put up with me. I got to do something about my beard. Good Lord. It's like 3 weeks. 3 weeks old now. It's getting scratchy. It's getting itchy. One of these days, I'll actually do something about it. So right now, we're just in a holding pattern, waiting to see if anyone shows up. Hopefully they will. That'll be awesome. And this is kind of an impromptu last minute thing. So yeah, hopefully everyone had a good 2020. I had a really how was my 2020? So I had a pretty decent 2020 compared to a lot of people out there, obviously. Compared to a lot of people, I had a good 2020. I got to go to some baseball games in preseason, whatever they call it, spring training games before they actually canceled the season. Even though it was like the start of COVID, we still had some spring training. Thank you. Games. So we got to go to some baseball games, which is weird because like literally you went to a couple spring training games and then like the next week they canceled the season for the first 6 months. So that was crazy because it was like normally when you go to spring training, a couple weeks later, there's games on TV and everything, and there wasn't. So it was like weird. Like, did I just go to the World Series? And, now it's the off season. What's going on here? 2020 was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy, I think. Right now, we're just kind of hum-hawing around, waiting for people to show up for some reason. Let's see here. If we can let anyone know we're live, that would be awesome. People are probably busy. It's the day before. It's, what is it, New Year's Eve. Yeah, that's what it is. I'm not a big New Year's Eve kind of guy anyways, so we won't be doing much. What's everyone else doing for New Year's Eve? Probably not a lot. So 2020 was a crazy year for me because, hey, Tony, come on in, buddy. I'll send you a link. If you're available, come on over. We're just hanging out, chilling, and talking anyways, so. So if you're available, come on in. I got a couple other guests lined up that might be coming in. Who knows? It's going to be one of these kind of days. You never know who's going to show up. Last time we did like an impromptu live stream, we had like 40 people that joined. It's crazy. So, 2020 was crazy for me because getting food for kids be on soon. Okay, sure. Whenever. Just come on by whenever you get a chance. I sent you a link, so just look for it. So, I was doing sports for a while, then I switched from sports to wargaming, and I wasn't going to do sports. Now I started doing sports again, and so now I don't have time to do as much wargaming. I did organize, good Lord, I organized a bunch of my board games here. Holy crap, I'm telling you. Like, literally, like my Dominion boxes, right? I had like 6 of these boxes, and they're pretty big size, right? And I decided to take out their stupid little inserts, right? You take out their stupid little inserts, and you can like literally get, this is 2 games, not one. This is actually 2 games that I was able to put into one box. Plus, I have room for another one. I got a second box over there that has a bunch of the other stuff in it. They definitely waste a lot of room in their packaging and organizational things. So I was cleaning up and organizing all my stuff, and I got rid of like 6 or 7 big boxes worth of stuff. Hey, Robbie, what's going on, buddy? Good to see you. Thanks for coming on by. I appreciate it. Robbie Wartburg. Haven't talked to Robbie in a while. I thought Robbie forgot all about me. Pretty sure he did. Pretty sure he did. So yeah, so 2020 was a crazy year. I was definitely burned down on sports and went away from it for a long time. And now I got into wargaming again and got a whole bunch of new war games. Now I'm just wondering if that was just a big waste of time and money, because you have to work quite a bit lately. Okay. Yeah, because I just don't have the space for the war games. I don't have the time for the war games. They take up a lot of space. They take up a lot of time. They take up a lot of desk space. I don't have a lot of, you can kind of see over here now. I've got one laying on the ground over here. There, I got right there. It's just annoying having to move stuff back and forth. So that's one of the cool things about the sports games is you can actually set it up, get a game, play, done, put it away, everything within like an hour, So, and they don't take up much room. You can put them away. So I wasn't going to do any sports games, but I just decided to order a bunch of stuff for some stuff that I got rid of. I got rid of a bunch of APA stuff. I got rid of Stratomatic. I got rid of Dynasty League. I got rid of a bunch of stuff. And now I'm like, damn, I wish I wouldn't have got rid of that stuff. So I got boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff. So anywho, we'll see if Tony shows up. Like I said, we got a couple other guests that I've emailed to see if they're available. Who knows? Who knows if anyone's going to be available? Seems like some of these war games are huge in size. Maybe like Legendary and others are more for you. Yeah, there is some. Even the smaller war games, it is the size. So there's 2 issues. You got the size, right? You got the size of the map and everything. And I've redesigned my desk like 3 times to give me as much physical space on my table as I can here. But the other thing is a lot of war games take more than an hour or 2 to play, and you're not going to live stream more than an hour or 2, which means then you have to keep it set up somewhere. You have to put it somewhere. You can't just keep it on. For me, I can't just keep it on my desk because I got to use my keyboard and my mouse, and I got to have a microphone, and I got to have everything here on my desk. And if I got a war game, I'm knocking counters over. You got You got cables draping all over the place from your camera, from your microphone. Stuff just get knocked aside this way, that way, the other way, upside down, and just it gets to be such a pain in the ass. It's hard to live stream war games. So I've actually got some Fall Classic baseball cards on my desk. They don't take up much room. Look how much room this takes up compared. Not very much. Oh, Tony will be here in a little bit. Okay. Oh, there's Tony right there. Hey, speaking of the devil, there's Tony.
Hey, just finishing up my lunch. You caught me right mid. You caught me right mid getting the kids food. So
that's okay. It's kind of impromptu. Wow. I'm impressed.
Yeah, I went through one of your videos, so I watched a tutorial. And then I was like, okay, I want to see a game played out. And you did a couple, and I was able to follow along. So that helped me. So now I have the 68 Tigers and the 84 Tigers. I'm going to do a best of 7 with the 2 World Series Tigers win teams.
Well, I bet you the Tigers win.
Well,
is that the only way they're going to win?
Oh, yeah, I deserve that one.
Funny. It is so funny that when you talk about people and you talk about war gamers, it is so funny how many war gamers are also sports gamers.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I had never thought, that you would, be interested in sports or anything like that. And I had thought when I was going to get away from sports and stop doing them, I thought, oh, everyone's going to leave my channel because they're not going to be interested. I can't believe how many people are cross-linked between the two of them.
Well, I have History Maker Baseball, I have History Maker Golf, I have Second Season, and now I have this, which was free, which a friend of mine pointed it out to me, and he said it's free, and I was like, oh, I've been kind of putting off looking at it, and then finally I was like, okay, I need a project. To go along with the war games, because I think if you focus on one of too much, and I see it happening to you, you're like, oh, I don't need this anymore. I want to go do this. But if you kind of mix it in between the two, you're going to cover. You're not going to get bored with one side or the other.
Hey,
Heathwell's here. Yeah. So because I love my SPQR that I'm going through right now. Absolutely love it. And I love the war games I have. But I also love the sports games. They're fun too. And I think a lot of it's history. For me, it's the history of stuff. So I love the history of the war games, and I love the history of the sports. So like I said, I'm kind of having a little fun, and putting up the two Tigers teams, kind of pairing up against each other. You can actually do that with these games, so it's kind of fun. So yeah, so I'm going to be adding some of the sports to my channel, and I'm gonna code it as TBLS, Tony's Board Life Sports.
Ah, there you go.
So when I put up a video, if it's TBLS presenting, whatever, that'll be the sports side of things. And then I'll do my war games too. There's no reason why you can't do multiple or do different things. I know you love the coin system. I know it's just the amount of time, and you just don't have the space.
Well, I was just talking. I don't know if you were listening while you were joining, but I was talking about the issues with wargaming for me, not for everyone else. The problem is most war games take more than an hour or two to play, which means
you just don't have the space for it.
Unless you have somewhere to actually store it, it's going to be, for me, I can play it on my desk. I've rearranged my desk like 5 times now. I used to have my one monitor here. I used to have my second monitor over here. Now I moved my second monitor over there. I moved my computer in the back. I've got it way back in the shelf. So I've got enough space where I can actually put a coin map on the table, which is, how big those are.
Yeah.
But the problem I run into is, what do I do with it? Because you're not going to live stream for like 8 hours, right?
No,
you're just not going to do that. So you're going to go for an hour, maybe 2. And then what are you going to do with it in the meantime? I've got stuff here. I've got stuff here on my floor. I've got, it gets to be such a pain in the ass.
Yeah. That's a complaint across the board a lot of times with, especially people that live in apartments that don't have the space, is the war games, unless you, like you said, unless, like, I'm lucky, I have a basement, I have a couple desks that I have, multiple tables if I really wanted to. So I'm lucky I have that space and I can leave the game set up. I mean, I've had the SPQR map set up for almost 2 weeks now, working on the the tutorials that I did, and then playing the scenario, the battle, which I'm gone through. I'm going to be uploading the final part of turn 2, but now I'm just going to play it and kind of do a recap for each turn. So, but yeah, I definitely want to add, kind of do a little bit of sports too. I mean, Wardrobe just joined in; he does sports too. So,
Anthony, Bleacher Bones Gaming, what is going on, my friend? How are you? Long time no hear.
Good.
We used to chat live a couple times a year, but it's been a while. So
busy year, strange year. Yeah, I just finished a long bike run, so I'm kind of sweaty. I apologize for that.
That's okay. So, Tony, I don't know are you into boxing at all?
no.
Okay. I was going to say Anthony down here, his channel, Bleacher Bums Gaming. He has designed and produced Glory Days Boxing, which is a big hit.
I've watched AFR, so I think he's done that. Steve Tower, I think, has done some videos on that. That sounds familiar, at least. So, yeah, I've watched a couple of it. I'm not a big boxing fan. I'm, sports in general just interests me completely. So,
yeah, boxing's a very niche sport for sure, especially now.
Yeah, it used to be it used to be like, just as up there with baseball and even higher in the 20s and 30s and 40s. But, things change over time. So,
yeah.
Well, he's also working on the 2011 Glory Days baseball season.
You said 1911, right?
2011.
IDJ is a big dead ball era fan, in case you didn't know. In fact, between that and Stratomatic, I don't know what he likes best. So it's probably a tough one.
Okay, are you ready to fall out of your chair? Are you ready to fall out of your chair?
You bought a Stratomatic set?
I actually bought 2 seasons of Stratomatic, and they're on their way. Are you frozen? Are you frozen there?
You see the looks on our face?
I'm sorry?
You see the looks on our face?
when he plays it, when he live streams it, that'll be the thing.
Yeah. That'll be worth a tune in just to hear the rants about how much he remembers and hates it.
Yeah, I mean, without it, what am I going to do? I won't have anything to complain about. So I got the 2018 season and 2013 season. So, when I got out of sports, I sold a bunch of my stuff. And one of the things that went was all my Stratomatic. So, and I was thinking, probably should have some. So, yeah, I got some.
I was curious about that, actually. Did you sell pretty much all your sports board games except Fall Classic? And
I sold a bunch of it. I sold most of my APA. I sold Stratomatic, Dynasty League, a few Payoff Pitch, some football stuff. But I still had a bunch of stuff in my drawer. I mean, just seasons and seasons and seasons of stuff. So that, like stuff that I had printed out that nobody really wants to buy. So let's see those guns, man. Look at them guns. Wow. Yeah, look at that. So yeah, it's 2020 crazy year. I was just talking before you all joined. I actually went to some spring training games this year. And then like literally the next week they canceled the season, and it was like, wait a minute now. it's so weird. You go to spring training, getting everything riled up for the season, and then it just disappears.
No, I was the same. We went to a spring training game, I think, 2 days before they actually shut it down. And the weekend before that, I'd gone to a really big football coaches clinic that had about 300-400 participants. So yeah, we went right up to the end, and yeah, it's been a crazy year. And if you followed the high school season, our team, the team I coach, we got one game in because of COVID, and we had to quarantine twice, and luckily I had 2 negative tests during that. But yeah, it was just a disaster this year.
Jeez. So yeah, we've been emailing back and forth about your next creation. You eventually will get out. It seems like it's coming along. You actually have a system. You're going to use it, basically the Glory Days boxing kind of converted into the baseball.
Yeah. I guess you could call it like a hybrid system-wise between like Glory Days boxing and in a game like Status Pro, only with dice instead of the fast action cards. And those would that's probably the best mashup, I guess you could use to describe it. But not a 50-50 game, definitely based on skill of the pitcher and batter, and also splits factor heavily into it. So.
Yeah, I know you did an update video. Unfortunately, I only got the last 20 minutes of it or whatever, but I've been meaning to go back and watch that, but just haven't been able to. Now, Tony's a good war gamer friend of mine. He's in the war room with me every Saturday, but now Tony is actually getting into sports. So
nice.
That's kind of cool.
Well, and I used to work retail a long time ago and got into European sports. So that's when I got into soccer, and I actually got into cricket, which Ruff, one of our other he would get it. But I actually bought a cricket game from London, from England, the other day. So I'm kind of curious to see how that turns out.
Wow.
But, yeah. So I'm kind of curious because I like baseball so much, and cricket is very similar. You have, different pitches, or in this case, they bowl it, but, different, throwing, different bowling, batting, defense, how you set up your defense shifts and things like that. So there's a lot of similarities to it. And so I kind of got into that. And so it's kind of fun during school. If I've got my time off, I just pop on, a cricket game because they're over in Europe usually. So the time wise, it's perfect. Planning or lunch period, there's usually something going on over there. So, but yeah, when I used to work retail, I always worked evenings, so I had the daytime to kill, and so I ended up watching a lot of European sports. But one of the sports that I really want, I haven't found a game for it yet, and I'm kind of looking around, is hockey. Actually, I'm a big hockey fan. Love hockey. And so I'm looking around for a decent hockey. I know there's a Hockey Blast by Play, which Play.com really got me into a lot of the sports gaming in the first place. And then I've started looking around and seeing how much sports stuff there is out there. So that's always kind of interesting to see when you get into a new hobby, just how big it is. So
I actually cricket. You watch the T20?
Yeah, I love T20. I'm not a big test guy, too long in the one-day internationals. I think T20 fits Ruff is there, yep. T20 fits American style of sports. It's, fast action. There's a lot going on. It's done in 3 hours or so. I really think it would be and they're trying to actually start a league here in the United States.
It has cheerleaders too, which is a plus. But actually here in Arizona, there's a pretty big cricket community, and they have T20 leagues here that I've
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My parents live out there. They live in Surprise.
That's where I live.
Yeah, Anthony's, you're in Arizona, right? Phoenix?
Surprise. It's a suburb about 30 minutes west of Phoenix.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I don't get out to see my parents as much as I like to. So yes, Ruff Swordsman. He's the one. I ordered Mind in Cricket from England the other day, so you'll get to see some of that because I know how much you like it. So,
see, I told you we're going to replace Ruff. Yeah, I told you we're going to replace Rough Swordsman with someone better. So if I told you going into the baseball season that again I picked the winner, would you be surprised, Anthony?
Probably.
No. Come on now, you know better than that. Who's the one every year that picks the right winner?
In a short season, I think the Dodgers pretty much had the best shot to me, just on the makeup of their team and the fact that they've stayed healthy. The Yankees, as usual, were crippled by injuries again all season and underperformed, and Sanchez has to go. But I thought the 2020 baseball season was probably as exciting as any in recent memory, just because going into the last week, there were, I think only 5 or 6 teams were actually eliminated from playoff contention. I love the 7-inning doubleheaders too.
Yeah.
That was always interesting. We have a lot of minor league. I have a minor league team up here, and I live in Toledo, and we have the Mud Hens up here, which is the Detroit area, or Detroit Tigers minor league, and they do 7-inning doubleheaders all the time. So that's the hex.
That's good.
Wow.
Do you want to hear my extreme idea for baseball going forward if I was commissioner?
Sure, let's hear it.
I would, and as blasphemous as this may sound, because I'm a traditionalist, I would keep the universal designated hitter. I would keep the 7-inning doubleheaders, and I would reduce the season to 140 games and play 2 70-game split seasons. The 3 division winners would qualify for the playoffs, and if the same team won both halves, then the next best record in that division. And then I would take the that's six play. I would take the next 2 best overall records to have a 16-team playoff. And I think, and I know that would never happen, but to me that would keep fans engaged, because you'd have 16 playoff spots. You'd have the split season where you could get hot for half a season and collapse and still have a chance to make the playoffs. So that would be my extreme idea for baseball.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I'm a traditionalist. I like the National League game, but I see the DH being universal now.
I was just going to say, Tony, I think they're going to go with DH league wide, and I think it's the wrong decision because it takes all the strategy out. But people don't care about strategy. People care about the action and keep it engaged.
And that's a good point. How much do you really watch for? I mean, this season actually brought back an element of small ball with that designated second base runner and extra innings. And I don't know how I feel about that, but for the most part, I think people watch the game to see a walk, a hit, and a 3-run home run. So.
Yeah, that's true. I think they did a lot of interesting experiments, and I think the things that really stuck out that were positive, I think are going to get integrated eventually, which is going to be the DH, and I think they're going to go to a 16-team playoff because I think that keeps more cities involved, which keeps the fans coming in, which makes the owners happy because that's more money. And I think eventually they're going to go to a 16-team, maybe even this year. Who knows? They're still, they can't make a decision. I don't know if they've even made a decision on the DH yet or not.
Not yet.
Yeah, they have one more season under the current CBA, and then I think
that's what they're trying to do is they're trying to use this as a leverage thing instead of just getting it in, So unfortunately for us simmers, the people that actually play the game and use the strategy and using players and doing all that stuff, the no DH is much better. But for the fans watching it on TV, they don't want to see a pitcher come up, waste all that time, take 3 swings and strike out. It's just like
There's some pretty decent pitching.
There are a few, but I mean, on the average.
Yeah. Well, they don't work on it
either. It's not a priority. It's just not a priority.
Yeah.
Well, and if you go back to when you played in high school, the best player on your team played shortstop and pitched.
Right.
And best hitter too.
Right. But as soon as they go to college, they just focus in on pitching because the college coach tells them, you're not going to make it as a batter. So you better, if you want to get in the big leagues, you better keep pitching and forget about batting. And then all the pitchers they wear out their arms. They get in the big leagues for a couple of years and then they're gone.
And Wardrobe too in the chat actually asked a good question. Do players want DH? I would say yes, because it extends people's careers. You have guys like Kyle Schwarber would be perfect for a designated hitter if they adopt it in NL. I don't think he'll stay with the Cubs, but and Miguel Cabrera, guys like that.
Yeah, they can't really play first base anymore, not really well, and this way it gives. I don't know why the union would be against it. It actually keeps players longer for at least the better hitters. I mean, look at David Ortiz. I don't think he could field worth a damn, but boy, that man can hit.
Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up. I mean, without the DH, David Ortiz would have been on the league a long time ago. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, because
gives a lot of players like that, and unfortunately, it's all going to who can hit it the farthest. And I don't care if you strike out 10 times in a row. If you can get up there when we need it and get a home run, then that'll make up for it. And unfortunately, that's a direction I think it's headed. But I'm not for that. I think it takes too much of the strategy out. There's too many small ballparks now. I keep building them smaller and smaller because the league wants more action to bring in more fans for the owners. I mean, if I was an owner, right, and I had choice of what kind of stadium I'm going to build the smallest stadium I can, so that way the most action happens and it brings the most fans in.
Yeah, I agree. And you talk about strategy. I think strategy has moved off the field more into the front office with all the analytics now. Where you have the velocity, the launch angle, the shifts, and all that crap. So strategy has just kind of become, I guess, hidden from the fans, so to speak.
Well, here's the thing with the analytics, and I've been railing on Davey Roberts, the manager for the Dodgers, for following analytics way too much until this year, until he finally started doing the eye test on a lot of stuff. Because up until this last year, he would pull pitchers after 4 innings because that's what the number said. Instead of letting them, do what they're supposed to do and pitch more than 4 innings, I get it that, the third time around and pitchers, numbers go down, but you got to look at what's going on today or that day, that game, and see how they're going. It's like when Tampa Bay, who did they pull? Like they pulled Snell, for no reason. And I'm like, okay, that's analytics getting in the way.
That's because they did it a certain way every time, and it worked for them. So they were going to keep following that process until it didn't work. And unfortunately, the only time it didn't work was in the World Series. So just take everything Tony says with a grain of salt. He is a Detroit Tigers fan, so.
Detroit, Tony. I'm on his side there, though. I mean, let's face. I think you can use analytics as a good baseline, but you know what? For the first 100 and whatever years of baseball history, the game survived just fine without analytics because managers and scouts knew what to look for in players. And the best managers. You still have Toronto. But, the best managers could look at a player and make decisions based on their feel of the game. So, yeah, I think it's kind of gone overboard, too, honestly.
It's like most things in life. It's a pendulum, and it swings all the way over, and then once it hits a certain point, people start realizing it, and it just will start swinging back. I've seen it in, plenty of things. And see John Maggs, go Tigers. I know John. Met him a couple times. So he's a good guy. He just lives up in Temperance, just north of me. So he's a good guy.
But could you guys imagine Billy Martin get pulled into a room of computer geeks and told how to run the team based on analytics? How do you think that would work?
Well, that was a different era, you know. It was just I mean, now everything is broken down into a science. You know, baseball is now it's no longer a game. It is a science. You can get a stat for every single thing. So, and people will, you know, are going to go, well, if this guy can't hit a high fastball, I will keep throwing him high fastballs until he can. Look at the shift.
Oh,
right?
I hate the shift.
This is a perfect example. Defenses are going to put a shift on until the players can say, oh, you know what? I can do something about that because I got a big hole on the left-hand side. You never see hardly any of them try to bunt that direction or try to pull it into the hole. They all try to power it out.
Which is ridiculous. And you know, they've made baseball a corporate entity now instead of just a game on the field that used to be played with feel and fluidity. And yeah, it's like I said, I think it's just gotten a little bit overboard. And you know, the thing too is with fundamentals, it's when you played as a kid, one of the first things you learned to do was bunt. And now there's no major leaguer that can hit the opposite way or bunt into the empty space where the shift is vacated. You know, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching one of those shows where they put all the plays of the year or whatever, and there was probably like 8 guys that bunted a double because they just bunted it to the side where there wasn't any player and ran all the way around to second base.
Yeah, I know. It's like ridiculous. I mean, seriously, until like you said, they learn how to do that. It's not gonna, you know, they gotta. Why would you not do it? And why would you make a rule saying you can't do it? I mean, it's easy enough. Just start bunting down that way. Get the players to actually bunt, and yeah, it'll be good. But players don't want to do it. They'd rather try to hit a home run.
Yeah, I mean, most of them go up there with the thought of, you know, all right, you put 4 guys over there, I'm just going to hit it over their head anyways. It don't matter.
Yeah. Instead, they hit it right to that guy, right where they were standing.
Oh my gosh!
Blunts are legal in Arizona now too, buddy. So we're right there.
It is. Yeah. It's nobody does it because I mean a lot of the players see their contract tied up in so many home runs they get. You know, they get a bonus if I get 20 home runs this season. I'm not going to bunt. Why am I going to bunt if I can get an extra $1 million if I can hit 20 home runs?
Hey, it's not bad to hit 320 either with a nice on base percentage because you exploit the shift. But.
No, I totally agree with you.
And besides that, if there's runners on base enough, that takes away the frequency of the shift too. So I don't know.
Well, there's very few players they don't shift on now because those are the players that are all around good players. So, and there's just too many big power hitters and other players that don't care. They're just going to hit it wherever they're going to hit it past the shift or whatever.
Oh, sounds like the wife's home, so I'm going to go ahead and get out. It was good talking with you. Nice to meet you, Anthony.
Good to meet you.
On,
Tony, come on by and come on back if you can. Otherwise, we'll talk to you on Saturday, man.
Talk to you on Saturday. See you guys later.
Later on. So I've seen you've done the war game chat with him and my buddy from across the pond.
Yeah, Rough Swordsman. Yeah, I told Ruff last week. I said we're going to replace you. So when he showed up and you were here, I think he was thinking, "Oh man, I've been replaced." That's funny.
We started talking about Snell a little bit earlier, and that the Padres, they're building a team down there.
Wow, I tell you, it's going to be. I mean, the two powerhouses in the National League right now are going to be Los Angeles and San Diego. I mean, both of those teams are loaded for bear. Now the Mets, with the new ownership, are trying to make some moves too. They've already signed a couple players.
It's exciting in the East. I mean, the Marlins, I think this season was a bit of a fluke, and that was one of the, the byproducts of the short season. But I think they have a good leadership in place in the front office. I think Mattingly is a solid manager, and they got some good young players. The National League East should be the most competitive division in baseball this year.
Yeah, I was suspecting it was going to be last year, but it wasn't. But too many of I thought Philadelphia with Joe Girardi coming in, I thought they were going to be really good. I had them pegged as a playoff team, but their pitching just couldn't do anything with their pitching. And with JT Realmuto and Harper, Girardi coming in, I figured he could get 5 more wins out of them than they normally would, and that would put them about 88 to 89 wins. And I thought that might be enough to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they did not listen to me. You know what I find, though? Tampa Bay, the Rays. That is a team that takes every little advantage that they can. And they don't sign any big free agents, for big money. They sign some free agents, but they don't sign like the big timers. But I've been saying it for years. I think owners are wasting their money by signing these big contracts to these players.
Well, you look at what they've done this offseason, and that's the blueprint they've always followed, when getting rid of top line pitchers that they bring up through their system, Price previously and Snell this year. They got a couple of really good pitching prospects for Snell. They still have Wander Franco, who's the number 1 prospect. He'll probably have a breakout 2021. So they do a good job. They leverage 1 or 2, 3, or maybe 3 high quality players just entering their peak, get a bunch of prospects back for them, and keep restocking the farm system. And, they're able to be successful, and they really overuse the analytics too. And obviously they brought the opener, which I also hate, but it's been effective for them. They've managed to turn their disadvantages into an advantage as a small market team.
Yeah. And I think it's funny because a lot of teams tried to do that after Tampa Bay's success, and it didn't work for anybody else. And it's because they don't use that same system. So it's kind of like, playing the 4-6 when you weren't the Chicago Bears and you didn't understand what the players needed to do and what their responsibilities were, and it just didn't work out for you,
No, you see that with people poaching their front office staff too, to come in and try the same thing. But they've built such an amazing farm system and scouting network that they can maintain that success and never really have to be among the top third in spenders in the majors, which is a big benefit to them.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think they're going to take a step back this year, though. I think they just lost too much, and it's going to take them a few more years. They've been 3 years in the playoffs in a row, so that's about their longevity, and then they got to rebuild again.
But you look at that division. I mean, New York will be solid. New York needs to really pick up a top line starter. I hope they get Trevor Bauer. Toronto's on the up, but Boston's going to be in probably a little bit of a rebuild, and Baltimore's a disaster. So that division is, there's still opportunity there. I think if they have a couple of young players come through like Franco, they can make a run again this season.
Yeah, I think in Boston, the saying is, did they buy a World Series? Did they spend all that money buying a World Series and now they're paying for it a few years later?
Yeah.
They spent all that free agency money, signed all these big time players. They had a killer lineup 2018, but now they can't sustain it. They have all these free agents they can't sign because they've already got big contracts on the books.
So where do you think the top free agents out there go? Springer.
I think Springer's going to the Mets. From what I hear, I don't know, but I know the Mets are really interested in him, and I think he's just waiting to get a good deal because he knows the Mets want him. I think that's the only reason he hasn't signed with them yet is because he's like, well, I'll go somewhere else, but he doesn't want to go anywhere else because he wants to play for a winner, and he thinks, the Mets are going to be a winner, if not this year, next year. So,
well, and Cohen, when he came out, I mean, he basically laid out that he plans to spend a lot more money than the previous owners do. So, yeah, I would leverage that if I was a top line player too.
right.
I think that's a good fit for Springer.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think the fit for the Mets, I think they can get him for, he's going to want big money. And I think the Mets will give him a good amount of what he wants. And I think they'll probably agree to sign there. JT Realmuto, you know what? I've been saying this and everyone thinks I'm crazy. So I'm going to throw it by you, Anthony, because you already know I'm crazy. All right. When you have a quality team and your superstar and you have to retires or, can't come back, whatever, you need to replace him. You can either get a superstar and replace him, or you're going to have 10 years of failure. Let's look at teams like, and what I'm talking about, I'll give you an example. We'll use football because most people know football, right? Joe Montana. When Joe Montana finally had enough and was going out, San Francisco got Steve Young, and it made him relevant for the next 10 years. If they wouldn't have gotten Steve Young, they wouldn't have been relevant for the next 10 years. Example number 2 is the Buffalo Bills. When Jim Kelly was there, they were in the playoffs every year. They had, 10-8 records or better, and in the Super Bowl, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. Who did they replace him with? They replaced him with some no-name, and they were not relevant for 15 years. So my thought is Yadier Molina for the Cardinals. If this isn't his last year, probably next year will be. He's up in age. He just can't do it anymore. I think the Cardinals should sign JT Realmuto as his replacement. Get him in there now, and you'll have another 5 to 10 years of good quality baseball in St. Louis.
It's an interesting. I think that would come down to money, obviously, because they'd still have to pay Grandal's contract unless they traded him. But I don't know what you'd get for him at this point either. I think I don't really have a good feel for where he's going to go. I mean, and same with Trevor Bauer. Trevor Bauer, I don't know if you subscribe to his YouTube channel, he's actually a really good follow. He takes you inside the off season and the game and does a pretty good job in laying the curtain back, so to speak. But he's been doing this all off season. He just trolls people to get clicks. He did a video titled Top 5 Free Agent Destinations. So people are going to watch that, but he was ranking the fan bases. It had absolutely not a thing to do with where he was probably going. So I don't know. I could see Bauer going to the Mets too. Could you imagine him in that rotation? Oh my God.
Yeah, they talked about that. They also talked about the Angels. Now the Los Angeles Angels.
And he is from California. So
he is from California. The Angels now, the only thing keeping the Angels from being a playoff team is the Angels, because the Angels aren't smart enough to realize they need pitching. They haven't gotten any decent pitchers in. Plus, they lost their pitcher a couple years ago. Was it Skaggs that died in the midseason? And so they haven't been able to replace any of their pitchers. I think, they've been talking that maybe, if you're going to do it, step up and do it, right? So I think possibly Bauer goes to the Angels.
That's, like That's a good landing spot. I thought the Padres, until they made these deals for Snell and Darvish, would have been a contender because he's buddies with Clevenger. And obviously Clevenger is out next season because of surgery, but I could have seen him going there to partner up with him. That would have been formidable down the road. I think the thing that is a wild card with Bauer is he wants to sign 1-year deals to maximize his market value. And I think he restricts your buyer market because he wants to play for a winner. So if you sign him hoping he'll put you over the top and come in second or third in your division and don't make a run, and he bolts the next year for the next team, I don't know a lot of teams that are going to want to invest that much just for one shot that might not come to fruition, where, I'd say a 5 or 6 year deal is probably what teams are going to want to get him.
Yeah. I mean, if I was going to try to sign him, I'm not going to spend 25 for one when I could get him for maybe 5 for 100 or something like that. Get a little bit of a discount.
Yeah, and they're talking about 31 million for a single year.
See, that's crazy.
Yeah,
that's crazy. I mean, first couple starts of the season, and then look at the pitchers that have signed recently, and they've all, Darvish. Let's look at Darvish. Now, he had a good 2020, but he had a terrible 2018 and 2019. And the Cubs were like, this was going to be like the worst trade ever, or the worst signing ever. And then he had a good 2020. So that's why he's now in San Diego, because of the, what he did in 2020. But nobody wanted him after 2019.
No, and the Cubs, I think they saw that as a window to offload that contract, and they leveraged that. And, they're going to be in a little bit of a rebuild themselves because their pitching staff, even outside of him, was old. I think the only dependable younger arm on there is Hendricks. With Lester could possibly come back, I guess, but he's what, 36 now, and he's been solid. But
I think he's still a decent pitcher. I mean, I'd take him, but not for more than maybe $8 million a year, maybe.
Yeah. And the other thing with Bauer too, for that 1-year deal, he's got his off season and his recovery down to a science. I mean, it showed up in the results on the field, but he wants to pitch every 4th day because he's tailored his recovery to peak at that point. And that's, he throws a lot of innings, but when you're paying $30 million, you're still only 1 pitch away from a tendon snapping. And if he's got, like you said, 3 or 4 starts and something happens, and I don't think he will, because he's always been pretty durable and he takes care of himself, but you just don't know. I mean, it's not like the old days.
I mean, it just takes one line drive off a bat, hit him hit him in the shoulder, hit him in the arm, whatever. There goes $30 million down the tubes.
And pitchers generate so much more torque. Again, I know your favorite era, the dead ball era, because the ball was, a piece of mush by the end of the game. Pitchers would take pitches off. They'd bear down when they had to get an out. So you didn't have guys that threw 100% the entire game. That's why there were so many complete games too. And that's, now every pitch is full torque, full velocity, and guys throwing 95 to 100 miles an hour, is just going to put more, obviously, strain on the arm. So
yeah. I mean, your arm can only do that so many times. And we think, we're not talking just games, right? In the off days, in the off season, they're out there doing all this same stuff, throwing.
And I'd be happy if I could get my arm to do that once.
Right. Exactly. Oh, yeah. So I think some of the rules, I think some of the free agency, it's supposed to make this all season, but the winter meetings, nothing really happened because of the COVID still going on. They did the Zoom winter meetings. So that wasn't, when you can't talk to someone face to face, it's hard to get a resolution of anything done. So
well, there's some other interesting choices. I know the Yankees really want to keep LeMahieu, and I think that would be wise for them to do so. Marcell Ozuna is an interesting possibility. or a free agent.
Yeah. He played for the Cardinals. I was not happy the Cardinals signed him. I still don't think he was a very good player. I still think, even if someone signs him as his DH, I don't think I just don't see the good hitting. I just don't see it. Where is the good hitting? Every once in a while, sure, I'll hit a home run for you, but I'm glad the Cardinals got rid of him after 1 year, because I was really hoping they were going to sign Yelich. Because remember, there was Yelich and Ozuna in the offseason. What was that, 2016 or whatever it was in the offseason? Yeah. And I was like, oh, sign Yelich. Please sign Yelich. Please sign Yelich. I loved Yelich a lot better. And look at Yelich ended up being MVP a couple years later. Ozuna, he was I don't know, just not too impressed with the old Ozuna.
Well, and he's coming off. I mean, he's coming off probably his best season for sure. I mean, 18 home runs in 60 games is phenomenal. He hit almost 340, but again, that's that small sample size. It's why you don't write off. Yelich had a horrible season, but he's going to come back and be back to his normal self this year. And so that's the other wild card for me is these guys like Ozuna who've been up and down through their careers. How much money do you throw at them just based on one very small sample size in the weird 2020 season?
Right. And also he was hitting on Atlanta's team, which means when they had to face off against Acuna and Freeman, they then were tired by the time they got to throw to Ozuna, and that gave him a better.
Oh yeah, and you got Albus in there too, Marquez.
Yeah. I mean, when a pitcher can't take a couple guys off, right? It's going to make everyone on the team better, and I think Ozuna benefited because look at when he was on the Cardinals team. Like the Cardinals had Goldschmidt and him, and that was it. The other players didn't do jack. So then you focus in on Ozuna and Goldschmidt, and they don't do anything because you just pitch around them, make them reach for pitches and everything else. So I think there's a lot that goes into that. You put Ozuna in the Yankees lineup with Judge and Torres and LeMahieu and everything else, he'll do great. He will do great because the pitchers won't be rested going in to pitch against him.
And that's true. I mean, that's a good point. He's a player that does well when he's protected. So, if you're looking to turn around a franchise or boost a franchise like, the Angels, say if they go after him, I don't think top to bottom their lineup is solid enough. I think they're on the verge. I really like Adele with the Angels. I think he's going to be a really good player. I watched him in spring training. I caught him the last game I went to out here, and he looks the part. You can just tell his swing and the way he moves and his athleticism on the field. He's a big boy too, so I think he's going to be a player that really complements Trout in that lineup. I don't know if there's enough outside of him to make that a good fit for Ozuna.
Well, are a lot of teams reluctant to do things with the collective bargaining agreement expiring at the end of next year? And they don't want to sign players to more than like 1 year because who knows, we might have another 2014 come up in 2022 or, where they take the season off because they don't have an agreement.
Yeah.
And then you're paying those players to sit around and do nothing.
I really, after the crap show that was this season, I don't see how they can really do that without devastating the fan base. And I think the players, to the point where it's like 94?
Yeah, 94.
So, that during that last, I guess, stoppage, if you want to call it, I had really no interest in watching baseball for 2 or 3 years, and I think a lot of people just get sick of owners and players bickering when there's enough money out there to keep them all happy. And the thing that you really need to do for the players, baseball, first of all, is way too top loaded. You've got guys, and if you're good enough and someone's going to pay you $30 million, good for you. But then you have major or minor league players, guys struggling. If you don't get a good signing bonus when you get drafted, minor league players don't make money.
They make like $1,000 a month, or something. It was like $2,000 a month. It was like, damn, really? I mean, I make more than that.
Huh?
I said, I make more than that. Good Lord. They were making, I know at the start of COVID, when they canceled the season, they canceled the minor leagues, a couple of the players sent money to all of the minor league teams to pay, to give some of the lower players some money, because they were like, I think it was Trout actually that did that, and somebody else.
I think Bauer did something along those lines.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bunch of them that did it, but it's like, damn, I mean, if I was making $30 million a year, and then I find out the guys that are, in the minor leagues are making $3,000 a month, I'd send them some money too, because I would be like, this ain't right. But I think I agree with you. I think, there's a lot of players that are making just barely minimum or above minimum, less than $1 million a year. And there's a lot of them. And they're going to be in there for 2 or 3 years, because I'm playing the 2016 season. I'm looking through these cards and I'm like, damn, I don't even remember this guy. And he's gone already. It's only like 3 years ago. He's gone. So he made $750,000 and now he's gone. And that's it. That he's not going to get another chance. So.
No, it's baseball. I think more than any other sport is such a crapshoot. I mean, you have such an expansive minor league system, and I think that's a problem in itself. I mean, no other sport in the world has the minor league or the feeder league system that baseball does. It's too much, I think, sometimes. And if you're going to do that, I mean, obviously you can't change setups now, but make it something like, as an example, like the English soccer league, the tiers there, where you have some lower minor leagues that are independent, that are self-sustaining, if that's possible, to where players maybe sit there and see if a major league team picks them up. But it's just a lot of expense to run. God, you've got AAA, AA, high A, regular A, low A, 2, 3 rookie league teams, international complex. It's a lot of funds going into just that.
Yeah.
For what percentage of players that make it all the way to the majors,
Well, yeah, I mean, that was, in Bradenton, we have the Marauders, and its stadium is like 5 blocks from where I work. I drive by it just about every day. And it's like nobody goes to the games, it's just there, we have the spring training for the Pirates, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just so much baseball. I mean, these people are just,
well, and the amount you can get on TV, I think we're close to the same age, but growing up, you had the game of the week on NBC on Saturday, and then you had maybe 14, 15, if that many, Monday night games also on network TV. And that was it. So if you wanted to see pro baseball, like I grew up in Salt Lake City, I would go down and see the Salt Lake AAA team play. And I can't remember when the last time I went to a minor league game was. And, here in Arizona, they play rookie league games 10 minutes from my house. I've never been to one because I get enough baseball, on TV. And I think that kind of contributes too. If you remember that Salt Lake Trapper, that independent baseball team that won the record most games in a row, they had 5 or 6 players, in the same apartment, renting the same apartment, because they were only getting paid like $200, $300 a month.
Right.
So and back then though, the team was sustained because that was the only thing to do in town. There was no triple team. Had the Jazz, but those days are pretty much gone now with the amount of TV or baseball you can see on TV.
Oh, look what the cat dragged in. One of those Mets fans dudes, think they can buy themselves a World Series again. What's it been like since '86 now? I know the Yankees have won quite a few championships there, and I'm pretty sure the Cardinals won quite a few championships there.
What's interesting? Can you bring that comment back up?
Sure.
So you see there, he's got the Mets logo down there under the J, right in the middle. And I just think it's ironic he places the logo in the middle of all that, just like the Mets usually are in the National League East every year.
Right in the middle, right? Yeah,
very mediocre logo for a team that has mediocre finishes. So that's appropriate. Respect for that, Robert.
Yeah, at least he understands his spot in the world. Blow the Yankees.
I do think Cohen's going to make a big difference in that team. Not only the amount of money he's going to put into it, but I think the culture is going to change quite a bit. That's why Stroman came back and signed just after talking to him.
Well, you know with Steinbrenner, right? Good ownership means the world, right? So if you have an owner that's willing to do anything possible, it gives you hope. And even when it doesn't happen, it gives you hope. You usually have a good season. It's been quite a few years since the Yankees have been, a bad team, right? Cardinals, it's been quite a few years since the Cardinals have had bad years, right? Occasionally they'll have one. Occasionally the Yankees will have one, but they're never one of these teams like the Mets, Detroit, Milwaukee, where they have 2 or 3 good years and then they're irrelevant for 15 years. So
I agree. I think the last really bad patch the Yankees had was probably in the early to mid '70s. Where really all they had was Bobby Mercer and Stottlemyre, and I agree with Robert Cohen. He's going to make them competitive, not just in their division, but also in New York in popularity with the Yankees. And I think it's already pretty evenly split there, but the Mets fans are a little quieter than the Yankee fans because they haven't had as much to cheer about recently, but I think that'll change for sure.
Yeah, I think it's always good to have new ownership come in, change the culture, right? Change the attitude of the players. And, when players come in and know that their owner is working towards something, like, if I played for Pittsburgh, right? I go and play for Pittsburgh, but I'm not happy about it because I know I'm not going to ever get anywhere in Pittsburgh. Sure, 1 or 2 years we might have a good season, but they're not making moves to make Pittsburgh better.
No, I think if you go to Pittsburgh, you're playing to get a bigger contract with another team.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think some players, and that's we can put them up against the Rays, because the Rays have very similar financial constraints as Pittsburgh, right? And Pittsburgh is a sports crazy town. If you put a winner on the field, people will come support it, but you have to open the purse strings. So the difference between those two organizations, Pittsburgh gets a lot of good young players. They've got a few in the system now, but they take them up to the point where they're ready for a big contract and just let them go. Let someone come in and poach them. They don't even really leverage those players very much to get prospects back like the Rays do.
Right.
And PNC is a beautiful ballpark too. I would love to play there. I think it's a great place to watch a game, but you need ownership, and culture is just huge. It really is in any level, any type of sport. And I know that from coaching high school football for 3+ decades now, that you can, with a good culture, you can take a team of average to good players and play over your heads, so.
Well, this small market myth, and I'm calling it a myth because you can look at any sports team, right? Let's take the Buffalo Bills as an example, right? I grew up in Buffalo. They were irrelevant for 20 years. As soon as they were good in the late 80s, early 90s, they were sold out every single game. Blizzard, no blizzard, it didn't matter. They were sold out. Everyone was excited for the team. They went to the games. They talked about the games. They did everything for them. Then, once that era kind of died away, then what happened? Nothing. For 20 years. They didn't sell out the stadium for the next 20 years. They didn't have the fans come out. So I think you go back and watch some of these, playoff games, or I've been watching some of these recap videos on different games of the week and stuff like that. The 80s and the 90s, the 2000s, early 2000s and stuff. Game in September, sold out stadium between Kansas City and Detroit. This small myth market is a bunch of baloney, right? You can bring the fans in. The fans will come and play when you got a good team on the field. Every single time. When the Minnesota Twins were in the World Series, there weren't a bunch of empty seats in there.
That's true. Well, look at the Green Bay Packers are the best example of that, and obviously they have a different system. I mean, because their city owns them, their fans own them. But if they tried to do it traditionally, like other teams do, and just rely on the populace, how good would Green Bay really be?
Right, exactly.
They're probably the smallest market team in professional sports if you just look at the demographics and the populace around them.
Yeah, absolutely. It just drives me insane that these announcers talk about, well, it's a small market team. They can't do this. They can't do that. It's a bunch of hogwash. If the owner, I don't care if Cohen, instead of buying the Mets, bought, say, the Tampa Bay Rays, right? And he's going to rebuild the Rays. People in Tampa Bay would go watch the games. People would go if he got a new stadium and it wasn't a piece of crap in the middle of nowhere. There's reasons why people don't come out to the game here in Tampa, but it's not easy to get to. You got to cross the Skyway Bridge, which costs $1.50 every time you drive over and back across it for anyone coming from the south. If you're coming from the north, you got to come way in from 75. It is in a bad – it's not in a bad spot. It's just in a bad spot for people to get to it. So – I think anybody, Detroit's in the 80s, 84, 85, 86, they were always sold out. They were, they weren't considered a small market team back then. No, but now they're considered a small market team. Why is that? Because they have a crappy team because their owner isn't putting any money into it.
You do it, and logistics is interesting because I've got a buddy that lives down in Tampa that talks about he likes to go to the Jays games, but it's just such a pain in the ass to get to the stadium. And here, Diamondbacks are trying to build a new stadium, but the one they have now, it's downtown and there's parking garages close, but it's just not really super convenient to get to. Where, the Cardinals stadium, right off the 101 freeway, they actually have a designated exit that goes straight to the stadium, and there's a bunch of other ways. If you go to a Cardinals game here at University of Phoenix, you're in and out unless you park it. There's one bad lot, but if you park in any of the other lots, you're out after a game that has 40, 50,000 people there. You're still out in 15 minutes or so,
right.
back on the road,
Exactly.
which is important. people.
Right, absolutely. I mean, our little stadium here in Bradenton is not very big, and I don't know how many people it holds. It's not very big, but I mean, when we have the spring training games and there's 20,000 people there, like 10 minutes after the game's over, you can drive down the freeway and get out of there. It's not like, you're stuck there for 2 hours trying to get in and out, which is the problem with there's like one major freeway that goes by the stadium, and then there's one exit and one on-ramp that comes off there to go to the stadium. And it's just, you can't get on it because all the people are trying to do the same thing.
I think that's Ag Day makes a great point. People still, I hope I said your name right. People still drive to New Jersey to watch the Giants and Jets play.
Well, I guess, there's no excuse for that.
There's always exceptions.
There is exceptions to the rules. Let's just put it that way. That's true. But yeah, small market it shouldn't matter. St. Louis, right? St. Louis is not, I don't know what their population, I can't even think that they're like maybe the 20th most populated city of the United States. Would you agree with that? I don't know. Let's look it up on Google. Let's find out.
They're not up there, but I mean, St. Louis has always had such a strong baseball. I mean, hell, if you have a city that can support the Browns, who were probably the worst franchise in the history of Major League Baseball for as long as they did, they've just really got a really strong baseball tradition in St. Louis, and that goes back into the 1800s even.
All right, biggest U.S. cities. I'm going to let you guess before I tell you. Biggest U.S. cities, according to, let me give you the right data here. We use data from the U.S. Census 2011 population estimates to determine the biggest cities in the United States.
I would say New York, LA, and Chicago.
You got 1, 2, and 3 just like that. New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. That are 1, 2, 3.
I know Phoenix is top 10.
Phoenix is number 6. Well, again, we're talking about 2011. Some things might change a little bit, but yes, Phoenix is number 6.
Philadelphia.
Philadelphia is number 5. You're only missing number 4.
Miami.
Miami is not even
top 10.
They are not in the top 10, actually.
Atlanta's got to be top 10, right? And then
Atlanta. Let's see here.
Yeah, there's got to be a Texas city in there, either Houston or Dallas.
Yeah, Houston is number 4.
Okay.
San Antonio is number 7. San Diego is 8. Dallas is 9. San Jose is 10.
San Jose, 10 is a surprise. And thanks for the assist there, Dave, on the Houston.
Columbus, Ohio is 15. What I'm looking for is Kansas City, actually. So let's see where they rank. Because I'm telling you, it is not St. Louis. Wow. That is really surprising.
Where are they at?
They're at 58th.
Mm-hmm.
58th is St. Louis. They are below Tampa, New Orleans, Wichita, Minneapolis. They're below Cleveland. They're below Oakland. They're below Miami. They are below Raleigh, North Carolina. They're below Atlanta, Virginia Beach, Kansas City, Sacramento, Albuquerque, Los Angeles, Oklahoma, Portland, Milwaukee, Nashville, Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Denver, Chicago, Cleveland, Boston, Detroit. These are all towns that are bigger than St. Louis.
And again, it's just
Never once have they mentioned that St. Louis is a small market team and that's why they can't win.
it's just the tradition they have there. I mean, it has always been a
It
base.
has nothing to do with size. It has nothing to do with anything, because you can make a winner. I mean, look at Pittsburgh, right? Pittsburgh, how many Super Bowls does the Steelers win, right? They won 6 or 5 or something crazy. They're not considered a small market, right? So why are the Pittsburgh Pirates considered a small market? It's bullshit is what it is.
Well, no, that's true. I don't even know what that means.
I don't know either, but okay, thanks.
You might need a moderator.
Yeah, I guess.
So Dave Baseball Demos asks, are most companies making 2 versions of season cards for 2020? I really haven't heard anything about. I know the guy that does Status Pro Advanced is making one that's based just on the 60-game season. Fall Classic. Do you know, did he make one based on projections, or his is just 60?
No, I think he just made the 60 season. Yeah, because I just ordered Fall Classic. This is today is the last day of the sale. Buy 2, get 1 free.
PDF.
Interested? I bought 6 more seasons of Fall Classic. If you're interested, if you want to get some more seasons, I think we're going to put somebody in a little timeout over in the corner for a little bit.
Yeah, I can't do PDFs just because of the work. I guess cutting, and I've got
the thing with the Fall Classic, right? Well, these cards suck to cut out, right? Because they're small. You got to try and cut down the lines and everything like that. Fall Classic, right? What you have to do is you're going to have your sheets. You just make 1 cut across here, and then you got your 4 players. You just make 3 cuts there, 3 cuts there, and you're done.
No, he's got them set up nice.
He's got them really set up well. So, I mean, sure, they don't turn out perfect, but I mean, not everyone is die cut, perfectly cornered and rounded and everything else, but for me, right, for the savings you're going to make, I mean, $20 for a season file versus, I don't know, what is 69, I think, 59 or 69 for a season, depending on which season you order.
Yeah.
So it only cost me, like $5 something for the card stock, maybe $6 for the card stock, 20 for the PDF file, and then it's just time to cut the cards out. And like I said, of all the cards that I've gotten and all the PDFs, and I've gotten tons, trust me, I've cut my fingers to the bone cutting cards. These have been the easiest. Like I said, you're going to have 4 player cards along the top, 4 along the bottom. You just make 1 cut. And then what I do is I just take the 1 set and I put it on top of the other set, and I just make 3 more cuts, and then I'm done. That was 1 page. And it literally only takes you like less than a minute to cut a page. It's really good. But I mean, if you don't like doing that stuff,
Yeah, I'm not lazy.
When you're big time like you, and you can just afford the printed ones, you got a printed set on the way.
3 of them actually.
What? Which season?
I ordered 78 and 1922 last night.
78 and 2022 isn't coming yet. So
1922.
2022. I mean, he's already put that season out. Oh,
yeah.
And what was your first season?
1908.
Oh, that's right.
Your favorite. And Dave from Baseball Demos, just so you know, if you want a beta test next year on Glory Days Baseball, I have complete splits on both pitcher and batter cards. Just saying.
He'll yell at you if he doesn't have lefty righty splits.
I've got lefty righty splits.
But, that is Charlotte. Somebody said something about Charlotte. Surprised Charlotte's not higher. Charlotte is 17th, by the way, for you that are keeping track. I knew St. Louis wasn't that big. I mean, you go there and it's, the downtown it's a little sprawly, but it's not huge.
79, Robbie's my next payoff pitch season too. That's a great season. Not a lot of people play, so I'm looking forward to getting that in the next month or so. My problem is I get too much, and I barely have enough time to do one season.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Here I am. I've been in my cart for like a week now. It's been these Fall Classic sales, just sitting in my cart, and I keep going. I've already got like 5 seasons. I'm playing the 2016 season of Cleveland in Fall Classic. I don't need another 6 seasons. It's going to literally take me another year to go through and finish this before I can even get to anything else.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like sales are sales, right? You have to get them when they're on sale, or else, next year I'll be like, oh my God, I need this season. And I'm not going to pay full price for it.
You sound eerily similar to my wife.
That's why I got a huge stack of games over here now. Huge stack of games.
That's why we have a closet that has a huge stack of purses in it that she never uses too.
Well, baseball demos, you weren't here earlier, and I'm going to confession. I have ordered 2 Stratomatic baseball seasons. Yes, I have ordered some more Stratomatic. And even though I sold it all, got rid of it all, I swore I will never, ever, ever buy Stratomatic again. I am done with that. I am over that. But you know what? I'm watching David play the Nationals in 2019 replay with Stratomatic. And I'm like, damn, I gotta get these cards, man. What's wrong with me, Anthony? What is wrong with me?
Can I show you Dave's face right now?
Sure. I'm sure he's probably, but I watched him play it. He's having so much fun. I'm like, damn, I sold all my Strat stuff. My Stratomatic stuff, I put it all in a big pile, and I said, whoever buys it, good luck. Here you go. I'm never ordering this crap again. I got rid of all my charts. I got rid of everything.
I think all I have for Strat is the Hall of Fame sets. I think, that's it.
David says he's passed out. But I mean, I got to give David credit. I mean, he does a good job with it. He makes it run so smooth and fast. I'm like, and I've got a couple seasons of APA ordered as well.
So that's a good question on the differences. To me, so Payoff Pitch, Dynasty League, and APA. I'm not a huge 50-50 fan, and APA has a ton of charts, which I don't like either. And I know you can get to where you memorize the numbers and whatnot, but I don't think, at least playing the basic version of APA, that it brings the pitcher into the element of the pitcher into it enough. It's easy to play. It's quick to play once you memorize the charts. Dynasty League is the same as Strat to me, just a little more in depth, but still a 50-50 game. And Payoff Pitch is very unique. I like that there's always batter pitcher interaction, and it's the only small nitpick I have there is I like to see the splits on the pitchers more transparent. But I know, because I talked to Joe, and Joe's website carries my boxing game, that he factors that in there overall. It's just not really right on the cards. But if I had to rate the 3, it would easily be Payoff Pitch first, and then probably Dynasty League, then APA.
I didn't even complain. I just ordered my 2 seasons, whatever they charged me. I just said, check out. I'm a new man. I'm changed. I'm going in. My heart needs a year off, right? So I can't be getting all these stressed out, ranting and raving and complaining. And so we're just gonna It's a new me. It's the new me.
Robert, you are a completionist, so he has all 27 seasons of payoff pitch, which is impressive. Inside pitch, that's I don't know how many do they have, like 30 seasons of inside pitch. I'm not sure, but Fall Classic's got 103 seasons. So if you complete that set,
good luck. Good luck.
Rest.
I want to see a photo after you get all 103 seasons in.
I want to see the addition to his house where he stores all those cards too.
What seasons of Strat did I get? 2019. No, I knew you were doing 2019. I knew you were doing 2019. I don't want to step on your toes. So I got 2018 and 2013 were the 2 seasons I ordered with the extra players. I figured, you know what? I'm only going to get 2 seasons. When I order them, I'm going to be done with it. I won't have to deal with this again. So I just did it. I just did it. 44 seasons.
So Robert is what is known in the game world as a completionist, which is it's impressive though.
It's being built as we speak.
But the thing with Robert too, he's such a prolific streamer. He does usually what do you do, Robert? Usually 3 games a day, sometimes 4.
Yeah, he's usually on 2 or 3 times a day. It seems like he's always trying to interrupt when I'm going on. I mean, seriously, dude. You know, you see me on, then you jump on, you take all my viewers away because they want to come watch you instead of me. It's disrespectful, man. I tell you,
Robert has cheaper beer, so you
Mets fans do, man. They butt in. You're having a good time. The Mets show up, and then they want to be the life of the party, and they take over. And then pretty soon you're rocking to the Mets music, and it's like, dude, we were already having a party. Why don't you go to somewhere else where you're wanted?
You need to lower your beer prices, IDJ. His are cheaper.
He won't cut it down. Don't listen to him. He's a liar. He's a liar. And the funny thing was, his first game inside pitch was the Pirates and the Mets, and the Pirates crushed them. And he kept saying, "Oh, this game is terrible. Oh, there's something wrong with this game. It is broken, and I can't believe it." And then the next game was the Phillies and the Mets, and the Phillies were winning. And he's like, "Oh, this is such a good game. It's so realistic."
It's like that. Everyone loves a winner, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's
I'm
what it is.
gonna have to drop off in a few. You want to do playoff predictions real quick for the NFL? No.
I haven't really fouled it enough to really give you. What I'll do is I'll look it over and we can get together again before the season, before the playoffs start, and maybe we can do like a preview then. I haven't been following it enough. I've watched literally 3 half of a games this year. That's all I've been able to watch. I've been doing a lot of live streaming, playing a lot of war games, so I just haven't cared about the NFL.
How about the college football playoffs? 2 games.
It's going to be Clemson and Alabama again. Even though I'm a Buckeyes fan, you know it's in my heart. I believe in the Buckeyes, but the Buckeyes only played 6 games this season. They just don't have the rhythm. They don't have the. Now the last game that running back broke out, but that was against like Northwestern. I think the Buckeyes are going to rely on the running game, and I think Clemson is just too powerful. Man, they're just too good. I hope the Buckeyes crush them. I think in my heart, I'm praying that they can get revenge against that terrible call last year that gypped the Buckeyes out of beating Clemson and get revenge. I don't think it's going to happen. And once again, it's going to be like Alabama and Clemson in the finals, and Alabama, I hope, crushes them. I hope they break Trevor Lawrence's leg, knock him out for good, and Alabama wins the championship. That's my prediction right here. Go ahead. What do you think, Anthony?
That was kind of aggressive. I think Alabama handles Notre Dame fairly easily. That I'd see a replay of when they last met in the college football playoff. Clemson, Ohio State. You say the lack of games, but that can also be an advantage because their team might be fresher, less beat up. I think the wild card, though, is Justin Fields has not shown consistency in his starts. And Trey Sermon is not going to do to Clemson what he did to Northwestern. Just not going to happen. Northwestern or Clemson's too athletic in the front seven. So I see it. I see Ohio State with a chance in that game. It's going to come down to how Fields plays, honestly. It really will. I think if they pressure Fields, it's going to be a Clemson win if they can get to him. And I don't see Alabama beating Clemson again. I see a close Clemson win for the national title.
Well, that's so you see Alabama, Clemson, and you think Clemson over Alabama. I think Alabama over Clemson. So, well, I mean, we'll see. I really hope. I just don't think Notre Dame. I just don't think Notre Dame is a quality team. As much as I would like to see Alabama give Notre Dame give Alabama some trouble, I just don't see it happening. I think Alabama's like way over their league.
Yeah, I don't see Notre Dame really having the top line weapons. Ian Book, I mean, you look at the quarterbacks that are talked about most in college this year in terms of potential NFL prospects. His name never comes up. He's a game manager. You know, I don't think you can rely on him in a game of this stature. You need your quarterback to show out and put the team on his back 2 or 3 times to get the win. And I don't think Book's that kind of quarterback, honestly. Dave talks about Texas A&M. I think Kellen Mond has those capabilities, but he's got some inconsistency too. But I think I do think A&M would have given Alabama a better game than Notre Dame's going to give them. Honestly,
didn't they play this year?
Yeah, that was the only loss.
And who won?
Huh?
Who won?
Alabama. That was A&M's only loss.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to give A&M another chance at them. They had their chance. That's what makes college football so good is you don't get like second chances. You get one and done. So you've got to play your game. I've been there when the Buckeyes didn't make it because they lost to Virginia Tech in the first game of the season. And then they run the table the rest of the year and people are like, nope, you lost a game. You're not in. So you had your chance and you didn't show up. So Texas A&M had their chance. They didn't beat them. They don't get a second chance. Sorry about your luck. I would have taken who was it that was in the 7th place team?
Cincinnati.
I would take it Cincinnati over. Give Cincinnati a chance. Forget Texas A&M. They had their chance.
We'll see. Cincinnati gets Georgia, so we'll see if they beat Georgia soundly. I think you could make a case for them belonging. I watched some All-22 film on Cincinnati. My problem is sometimes I watch games as a coach instead of a fan, so I get too caught up in breaking stuff down. But Cincinnati have a P5 offensive line. Their offense is certainly capable. I think, you know, you run into the thing there that you do with most G5 teams that try and make that step is they don't have the depth of a P5 team. And I think in a game that would eventually show up. You know, they certainly had a great season. My BYU Cougars had a great season. Minus that debacle against Coastal Carolina. But, you know, then BYU offensive line is a P5 offensive line too. Their problem is they don't have the athleticism on defense to really compete at consistent level.
Yeah, I think they would get 41-3 beat by Alabama. But you know what? I'd give them a chance over Texas A&M. I don't care if Texas A&M is better. You had your chance to beat them and you didn't do it. You don't get a second chance. That has been college football's MO for years and years. And now within the last 10 years, they've been wishy-washy on that.
But you run into that same dilemma with Notre Dame and Clemson too. You know, I mean, like Dave wanted A&M over Notre Dame, and talent-wise, you can make a case, but Notre Dame beat Clemson, but Clemson still gets a shot too. You know, so
Clemson beat Notre Dame too.
Huh?
Clemson beat Notre Dame too.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're 1-1. So Yeah,
So you could make arguments because they split that they both are at that elite level. But I think the way that Clemson beat them in the ACC championship game was much more convincing.
much more convincing. And then, you got to take in the human factor that Trevor Lawrence wasn't in the first game, and
yeah, no, for sure, for sure,
all that. So that's why I think
the best way to fix the college football playoff is just to extend it to 8 teams.
Yeah.
You're still going to get it wrong once in a while,
Yeah.
but when you put 8 teams in there, the chances that the best team that's playing the best at that time will rise to the top is much greater, obviously. So,
right. I agree.
And that would have included Texas A&M this year. It would have included Cincinnati, and so I would like to see that going forward, but
Well, maybe some year. I mean, it's better than it was back in the early 20s when it was just the committee voting on the best 2 teams, and then you get these split national championships because one of the teams wasn't in it and they were going to play somebody else and they win their game, and then the 2 teams play for the other, and then so there's like a split national championship. So yeah, I agree with you. 8 teams, or maybe even expanded to maybe you do. What would it be? It would be 8 teams play one another to get a final 2, and those 2 finals take on the number 1 and number 2 teams. But there's a lot of extra games then, so you got to shorten the season and everything else. So
I mean, you could start the season a week earlier. I mean, hell, we start our high school season here some years the 3rd week of August when it's 114 degrees at kickoff. You could move the college football season back a week, or do shorten the season to 11 games, or
well, I mean, there's 4 non-conference games. Couldn't they get rid of a couple non-conference games? I mean, how many times does Ohio State need to beat down on Kent or some other team that doesn't need to be there, just so that Ohio State can win 63-3? Why do we have 4 of those games?
Stats.
Well, yeah, but
they Dave's right. They definitely could have done it this year with one with less games in the regular season and the number of fewer bowls. They could have easily followed baseball's very positive example and say, you know what, because of COVID and the logistics, we're going to expand it to 8 teams this year. And I think it would have been very successful and something they probably would have wanted to pick up and run with.
Yeah, I agree. That was then the time to do it because they have an excuse, right?
Yeah.
Well, we have to do it because of COVID. We don't want to have a bunch of people going to these ball games all over the country. We might as well have them focus in on one area. I don't know. Anyways, you got to go. Is that what you said?
Yeah, I do have to run, but good chatting with you.
Good chatting with you as well. Good chatting with the chat as well. It's always a good time to talk with you. We'll hopefully get together sometime soon and not make it such a long time in between episodes. So,
are you going to do a baseball preview this year?
I will do another baseball preview show, yes. So you are more than welcome to come and be wrong again and watch me pick them right again. That's okay.
I'm going to start studying now.
You better start looking it up now. All right. Thanks, chat. Thanks to Anthony for coming out. Appreciate it. Everyone, have a good New Year's Eve. Be safe, and we'll see you all next year. And David is still in his pajamas. Oh, my God. David, time to get out of your pajamas, buddy. It's already 3 o'clock. See you all next year.